How do you get it out quickly?
Well, when we have the vaccine, we have the military all lined up, and the military is going to be doing it in a very powerful manner. These are people that don't usually do vaccines. They do soldiers, and they do lots of other things that frankly are more difficult. But we have our general, and logistically, he's all set.
Kamala means lotus, another name for the Hindu false god Lakshmi. This is who Kamala was named after, the so-called goddess of good fortune, wealth, prosperity, and luxury. Harris was born in 1964 in Oakland, California. That same year, her mother, a Hindu who was born in British India, received her PhD from the University of California, Berkeley. 2 years later, in 1966, Kamala's father received his PhD in economics from that same university. 10 years later, in 1976, the Stanford Daily called Professor Donald Harris a Marxist scholar. There was opposition to grant Kamala's father tenure due to him leading students astray from neoclassical economics. On top of her father, who's currently a professor emeritus at Stanford University, being identified as a Marxist, he also admitted in 2018 that he's a descendant of Hamilton Brown, who is on record as a plantation and slave owner.
Kamala Harris is an anti-Catholic leftist. She's really just a younger version of Hillary Clinton and more left than Hillary Clinton. And she will not only use the female card, but she'll probably play the race card if she thinks it'll protect her from criticism or advance her leftist causes. She's a San Francisco, California liberal, and she's out of touch with most people in this country. And according to... They say that Kamala Harris was ranked as the most liberal member of the U.S. Senate in 2019.
In 1982, Kamala Harris arrived at Howard University, and while she was there, she interned as a mailroom clerk for Alan Cranston. Cranston served as a pro-abortion Democratic U.S. Senator from California for over 20 years. After graduating from Howard, Kamala got her Juris Doctor in 1989 from the University of California Hastings College of the Law. 5 years later, in 1994, Harris found her first significant political role. She was 30 years old, and her boyfriend at the time, Willie Brown, was a 60-year-old married man with the reputation of being a philandering playboy. Brown was the Democratic Speaker of the California State Assembly and eventually became the mayor of San Francisco. While they were dating, Brown appointed Harris to the State Unemployment Insurance Appeals Board and later to the California Medical Assistance Commission. Both positions were largely do-nothing, don't-show-up-except-once-a-year positions, political payoff posts paying enormous salaries for nothing. In terms of today's
such a jerk. I wish he'd drop dead.
It also reminds me of St. John Paul II, who called governments that legalize abortion are a tyrant state. That's pretty discrediting. Tyrant means a dictator, an oppressor, a slave driver. Immoral leaders give us immoral laws.
On February 25th, the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act was voted on, a bill to prohibit a healthcare practitioner from failing to exercise the proper degree of care in the case of a child who survives an abortion or attempted abortion. Among those who voted against the bill prohibiting infanticide, Kamala Harris.
So what's happening in the United States today is an exact template of what happened in pagan Rome, which caused it to implode. Make a prediction about the future of the United States? I certainly can. Nations don't just disappear, they commit suicide because of their decaying morality. Cicero warned us 2 millennia ago that those who do not know history are doomed to repeat its mistakes. The culture of death in Rome was infanticide, gladiator matches, and Christians being fed to the lions. We're not far behind.
On top of supporting infanticide, Kamala Harris is also an anti-Catholic bigot.
But the Catholic social and charitable organization that was founded in 1882 is under fire from at least 2 Democratic senators. Mazie Hirono of Hawaii and Kamala Harris of California have been grilling an Omaha-based lawyer who's a nominee to sit on a district court in Nebraska about his membership in that Catholic charity group.
In 2018, Brian Bisher was being evaluated to serve as a district judge in Nebraska. Harris, who was evaluating the nomination, implied that his membership with the Knights of Columbus, a charitable Catholic organization, disqualified him from serving as a judge. Harris asked, "Were you aware that the Knights of Columbus opposed a woman's right to choose when you joined the organization?"
How should a Catholic vote in 2020? It's pretty simple. John chapter 14, verse 6, the Lord Jesus Christ says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." He doesn't say, "I'm the death," "I'm the life." The Catholic Church is the pillar and foundation of truth, and the church teaches based on John 8:32, "You will know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." So as a Catholic, we are always in the side of life. We're called to advance the culture of life. And as a Catholic Christian, we are called to be not only children of God by baptism, but we're soldiers of Christ. So we're called to advance the mission of the Catholic Church, which is to preach the truth in love and the truth in charity. And the Catechism also says in paragraph 1789, the golden rule, "Whatever you wish that men would do to you, do so to them." In other words, I don't want anybody to kill me, at any stage of my life. Therefore, I shouldn't vote or participate in the killing of another human being. And the Catechism also says for those in leadership, political or religious leadership, you have to watch what you say and teach because people are watching you and you can mislead people by example, like Joe Biden is. The Catechism says, "Charity always proceeds by way of respect for one's neighbor and his conscience. Thus, sinning against your brethren and wounding their conscience, you sin against Christ. Therefore, it is right not to do anything that makes your brother stumble." When Joe Biden advocates for positions that are contrary to the Catholic Church's moral teachings, what he's doing, he's causing low information Catholics that are watching him on television, he's causing them to stumble, and he will answer for that sin.
The Biden-Harris ticket is the most anti-Catholic presidential ticket in American history. Biden, a self-described Catholic, supports abortion up to birth, taxpayer-funded abortion, and gay marriage, even officiating at them. His running mate, Kamala Harris, endorses all those intrinsic evils and more. She supports infanticide, transgenderism, and she even covered up massive amounts of sex abuse during her time as a prosecutor in California. Many are saying that Biden is just a placeholder for Kamala, as the administration is already being touted as the Harris-Biden administration.
Harris-Biden administration is going to relaunch that effort.
A Harris administration together with Joe Biden as the President of the United States.
Joe Biden is not some young whippersnapper. We all have a responsibility to form our moral conscience and to conform our intellect and will to the church's teachings. The Catechism says in 1801, "Conscience can remain in ignorance or make erroneous judgments. Such ignorance, Joe Biden, and errors are not always free of guilt." In other words, you have the responsibility to form your moral conscience based on the teachings of the Catholic Church, and he probably knows them, but he's willfully disregarding them. Why? Because of political expediency.
I believe it's part of them revealing themselves for what they are. Basically, nothing more than psychopath occultists.
Communion to pro-abortion politicians, a sacrilege and a direct violation of canon law.
Hey, Blonder! Weißt du, was du bist? Ich reiße dir das Herz aus dem Leib, du verfluchter Hurensohn!